what are you gonna do?
Well, I'm gonna make this video.
About sending.
It's Friday, December 29th, and we're coming to you with another one. Here we go. Who's in this time? Today's target is Beat the Bush. And if you're gonna take off after 20 seconds, you don't need 20%. Let's take it from there. All right. How's everyone doing? It's Kevin here with MeetKevin.com, Ventura and Santa Barbara County real estate broker selling over $20 million a year personally. Before you have any kind of negative thoughts, I want you to know, Beat the Bush, awesome, great content, but there was one very important part of a recent video that I think had sort of a little caveat disguised a little bit too much, which I think sent the wrong impression to the majority of watchers. I walked too far. The car's over here. Too far. Here it is. Hit the brake, door close. What world do I live in? Oh, hey, fake iPad. Staging! Anyway, let me be very, very clear. Beat the Bush, you've got excellent content. I love watching it. You've got really great insights. To me, YouTube is a community about sharing ideas and opinions and maybe picking up where people left off or filling in some more detail. Now, let's be very, very clear about the topic.
Saving up for a house. You might have a really expensive house. Maybe it's $300,000. So you need to be able to have, a chunk of money that's pretty big, about $60,000 for a $300,000 house.
Preface for the next clip, the point is you don't actually need a chunk of money. It's just not very clear in this video here that the difference is mortgage insurance. That's the point we're looking at in the next clip.
If you're in the Bay Area of California, a very, very modest home will start around $600,000. That means you need about $120,000 in cash just to make that 20% down payment so you can avoid that private mortgage insurance.
You do not need an entire 20% down to be able to buy a house. There are 3 easy ways to get loans where you don't have to put 20% down. Let's talk about those. Put that right there. 1, FHA loan, 3.5% down. 2, VA loan. You have to be a veteran to use this one, so a lot of us don't get to use this one. This one's really great. We'll talk about mortgage insurance and all the little details and the differences later. 3rd method, sounds crazy, but with a conventional loan, which is usually associated with, conventional, I want to be conventional, I don't want to be abnormal, let me get a normal loan. It's not a normal loan anyway, FHA and a VA are just as normal. A conventional loan is usually associated with putting 20% down on a house. You can get a conventional loan for as little as 3% down on a house, and it's still a conventional loan. You do 5% down, very, very common down payment, 10% down. We'll show you some real examples too. You got options. But you like this flooring and this toilet. Well, guess what? The toilet's got tape on it. I don't even know if it works. All right, 3 examples, real examples. VA buyer buys a property for $354,000. VA, remember you gotta be a veteran for this, so we're only gonna do 1 example of each. If you're not a veteran, don't worry about it, but listen to this example anyway. It's kind of cool. $354,000. Buyer puts a $5,000 earnest money deposit into escrow, which is to say, hey, I'm serious, I'm an actual buyer, here's my deposit. Escrow closes, negotiated to get his closing costs covered. Balance, and I'm going to put this on the screen here, balance due to you, the buyer, $4,665. That means he didn't have to bring extra money to escrow. Instead, he got the vast majority of his deposit back, which meant he put like $334 down to buy this place. It's crazy. And it's easy to write that off and go, well, come on, he was a veteran, I'm not a veteran, I'm not going to be able to do that. Wrong. Let's do another example. These are actual closing statements I'm looking at, by the way. Bought a townhouse for $315,000, $2,500 deposit. Scroll to the bottom here. After all the fees and charges, we have balance due to you, $3,116. That's more than they even brought in, and that's because they got reimbursed for the appraisal they put on their credit card outside of escrow. So they literally put 0 money down, and not veterans at all. They got a down payment assistance loan, they got their down payment covered, and they got most of their closing costs covered. Actually, all of them in this case. So 0 down, not a veteran. It can happen. Well, let's go a little bit more. If you don't get down, what if you can't get down payment assistance? What if you just want to do a regular deal? All right, let's get another one. $525,000 house, the clients put 10% down.
No coffee. I did not blow this $60,000 on frivolous things, nor did I buy a very fancy car. I minimized my electricity bill.
Just make sure you have every single light possible on. All right, I kid. All these cups down here, they're brand new. Don't beat me up yet, all right? All right, seriously, I'm just expanding on BeatTheBush here. I'm gonna explain where the 20% down comes from. Just keep listening, all right? So remember, there are three overarching examples. There's a VA, where you can also get down payment assistance called a VA no-no. So there are like different things you could do with these loans. Then there's a conventional loan, which you could do 3%, 5%, 10% down, and you can do closing cost assistance, you could do down payment assistance, different things, or none of them, just do straight up 10%, 5% down, however. Or you could do an FHA loan. The spin-off from an FHA loan is the 203K program, and here's an example of that. The clients bought a house for $394,000 and they got a loan for $421,000. How's that possible? So it was a renovation loan, it's a fixer-upper. My point is, you don't have to understand all of these things in detail, and you don't have to understand why there's this old chimenea here on a frying pan or whatever the heck that is. But what you do want to know is it's possible. You can do things that you may not otherwise have thought were possible. So let's bring this hose downstairs so we got to water some dead plants, all right? Now, let's talk a little bit about mortgage insurance. The reason people say you should put 20% down is because there's something called mortgage insurance. And that's to say that if you're going to put less than 20% down, you're more risky to a bank, and therefore, you should pay an insurance policy for that. Here's the scoop. It's a sliding scale. What that means is the more you do put down, the less of it you pay. So for example, say you put 3% down. You might pay 0.9% in mortgage insurance. What does that mean? That sounds like a big number. Is that 0.9% of the purchase price? What is it? Basically add 0.9% to your interest rate. So let's say you were getting a $300,000 house and your interest rate was going to be 4% without mortgage insurance. 4% straight. Let's find out what the difference would be between having mortgage insurance and not having mortgage insurance. All right, the numbers are in. You ready for this? If you bought a house for $300,000 and you had an interest rate of 4%, let's just say you borrowed everything for just making the math easy. Just type in Google, mortgage calculator, okay? Interest rate, 4%. Boom, $1,432 is your payment. Now do 4.9% to assume you have mortgage insurance included. It's not technically included as part of your interest rate, but it's calculated exactly the same way, so you may as well just add it in. The difference is $152. Who cares? If that means you only had to save 3%, which is $9,000 for a house, instead of $60,000 for 20% down, what's $152? Who cares? Like, buy the place. The 0.9% will amortize to nothing in 20, 30 years. Just buy to be a long-term owner of real estate. I mean, how else do you think people end up owning these million-dollar homes? They don't save $200,000 or $300,000 to put 20 to 30% down. No, they buy a house with nominal down, they build equity, then they take that money and catapult it into a larger house. And people do that 3 or 4 times in their lives, and that's how they end up with $1 million, $2 million homes. You think to yourself, oh, how am I ever going to save enough to have a $2 million home? It'll never happen. Yeah, it can. You just have to play the game. You gotta know the secrets to do it. So you remember, you got 3 main types. You got the VA, which you could do with 0% down if you're a veteran. You could do an FHA loan, which is not a first-time homebuyer loan. Anybody can do it if you're gonna live there. Or you could just do a conventional loan and pick your poison. You wanna do 3% down? You got 3% down. You wanna do 5, 7, 10, 15, 20? Whatever you want. The option, the choice is yours. Now, just for a second, let's say you didn't put 3% down and you wanted to put 10% down. Let's say now your mortgage insurance premium was only 0.5% instead of 0.9% like we did in the last example. The difference in mortgage insurance between not having mortgage insurance and having mortgage insurance with a 10% down loan is $88. Why? Why would you kill yourself to save the extra 10%, to save $88 a month? Just get into ownership.
Think I'll be able to bring these back to life? The whole point of this is you need to buy something, and you don't need 20% down. But I'm watering dead plants.
Look, maybe I'm just different. Maybe I just think you should take advantage of loan programs that can help you get into home ownership.
I do not dress for the right weather.
Anyway, at least they got lemons here. So beat the bush, you're 100% right. If you don't want PMI, which was subtly said, but a very, very important distinction, then you need to put 20% down. But if you're like most people and struggle saving, then maybe you should consider a forced savings account like a house.
You basically have a forced savings plan.
Where if you buy a house for 5, 3, 10% down, every single month you are putting money down into an asset that in the long run has historically always gone up in value. And I'm not saying over a 7-year period you will make money. But if you hold real estate in the long term, the odds are in your favor that, especially if you start young, you'll probably be able to retire very well, and maybe even in $1 million house like this one. But again, maybe I'm different, maybe I'm crazy, I have a Joby pod that doesn't work, and I'm sweating with a tie on December 29th in SoCal. It doesn't make sense. A fun fact about building inspectors, they made us move a toilet on the first story in concrete 1.5 inches, even though the house was built that way. Look at this. We did a great job, but we had a jackhammer for like 6 hours and cut rebar, and it was all concrete to move that plumbing and then to actually tie into the big plumbing. For 1.5 inches, are you serious? Biff is coming off in tiny, I mean, these are like tiny pieces.
So this is a silicone wheel.
Yeah. No way.
Let it just off with the old.
These ants do not look happy that the sprinklers came on, and it looks like they're all just spazzing out. Oh my gosh.
Point of all of this is to say thank you so much, Beat the Bush, for making the videos that you do. Keep doing it. We 100% support. We just wanted to expand on a very, very small portion of your video regarding private mortgage insurance. We wanted to delve into that a little bit deeper while also giving people the advice that, hey, there are options out there. Of course, is 20% down the ideal? Is it easier? Totally, sure, that's great. But for most people, it might not necessarily be the best goal to aim for. It requires a lot of saving, requires a lot of effort to get to that, and it might just be easier to get into something with less money down and build equity and net worth that way, catapult that into a larger house or a better equity position in the future to have better loans. That's what we did. We bought a place with 3.5% down. It was a fixer-upper. We fixed it up. We financed about $40,000 of the renovation, and then about 1.5 years later, fortunately, we had made enough equity because now the property was renovated and the market had gone up a little bit. Timing worked out, we will give it that, but we were able to refinance into a 20% down loan without having to put 20% down. Again, we put 3.5% down. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. Have a good one. Jack! Say hi. Oh. Are you getting ready to high five the camera?
Yes.
Wait for it. Hold on. Everything's broken. Okay. Do I'm a little teapot and then high five.
We do that.
Short as stop.
And down. Here, handle, here, about.
That was pretty good, Jack. Okay, high five. There's one other thing I wanted to talk about very briefly. This is sort of just a bonus little math thing, so if you don't like math or taxes, cut out of this. But let me take the plumbing example where Beat the Bush says,
work instead while your plumber is doing their thing. You make the $100, you pay them 50 of it. Therefore, during this 1 hour, you actually gain $50 more.
hold on a second. On our marginal dollars, which are the last dollars we're earning, we're paying almost over 50% in income taxes on the last amount of money we make. So that means if I spend $50 on a plumber, I have to earn $100, maybe even $105 to have the $50 to pay the plumber to repair something at my house. I don't get to write off maintenance to my house. So that means I have to pay that with after-tax dollars. If I wanted to learn how to do plumbing and I was able to do the plumbing repair in the same hour, or maybe I just didn't want to do my job that hour and I wanted to do that even if it took me an hour and a half. Let's just compare hour to hour. If it took me an hour to do it versus an hour of working to make $100 an hour, I'd be in the same place because I would have saved $50 after taxes, which is the same as making $100, paying 50% in taxes, and having $50 left over. It's exactly the same. Totally a topic for a different video because taxes are boring.
What?